George, I'm officially on baby watch this week. Move over, Prince George, though. This morning, Americans have their own royal, or rather presidential baby to look forward to. Chelsea Clinton making the announcement that she and husband Mark are expecting at an event discussing efforts to advance women and girls.
Well, Charlie, you know, this is not quite as big of a deal as when Prince William and Kate Middleton said they were expecting. But in the U.S., I guess you could say political dynasties might be the closest thing that we've got to royalty.
Oh my God! Can I say "gag me with a spoon"? Is that allowed? Can I say that on television? Welcome back. That's some of the reaction as the media going nuts, as I predicted yesterday. When it was announced yesterday, I sat here and I told all of you that this is. I said I can't question. You know, I can't prove that they planned the pregnancy to happen. Although in 2013 she told Glamour, Chelsea did, that 2014 was the year of the baby, and that her parents had been honored to have a baby. And I said this is going to happen, and it didn't even take, you know, a couple of hours for it to happen. Joining us now is our friend Tim Graham, Director of Media Analysis for the Media Research Center. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
I got to tell you, you know, first of all, it's not a presidential baby. You know, if there's a dynasty, it's the Bush dynasty, because they had a father and son who were, you know, presidents. And in fact, as a Newsbusters story points out, by Brent Baker, when Jenna Bush was having a baby, her mother announced it on the Today Show in December of 2012, and that night NBC gave it 30 seconds, and CBS and ABC ignored it. But here, it's all of a sudden it's royalty.
Well, obviously what it suggests is that if you are a Democratic presidential family, you're royalty. They have used the same term to describe the Kennedys. It is not a term they've used to describe the Bushes. And I think that this is one of those things where, as humans, we want to say, well, how nice for you. You're going to have a baby. As media critics, the first thing you think is they are going to completely overdo this. Mediaite was joking it was the most significant birth since Jesus. It's that sort of hyperbole that you object to in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I did a monologue in the last hour yesterday, right after the story broke, and I was talking about how, you know, pardon my skepticism here, but this seems all too convenient, and how, you know, Hillary's going to laugh every time they say, "Go, you're going to be a grandmother," and sure enough, she did yesterday. And Dana Milbank even said, you know, no one could accuse them of timing it this way, but it's going to benefit her. And now you talk about Mediaite. They quote from the Washington Post, the Washington Monthly, Politico, all basically saying how this is going to benefit Grandma-to-be Hillary and then Grandma Hillary. I mean, she couldn't have asked for anything or gotten anything more convenient, let's say.
But if they didn't try to exploit it in the media, it wouldn't have to be as big a deal. Obviously, Mitt Romney has a pile of grandchildren, and they never thought about how that would affect his presidential run.
Right.
Maybe there were just too many. The idea that Chelsea's the only child, for all we know, this will be her only child, therefore they can somehow exaggerate its importance. I don't think we should exaggerate its importance. But that's the problem, is we have the news media that's somehow comparing it to the British family, the British royal family. They're the exaggerators. They're the ones that have the chyrons that say exciting news in all caps.
Right. No, you're
and then when Jenna Bush gets pregnant, there's no story whatsoever.
Nothing.
So, again, it just suggests, it underlines what we all know, and that is, the networks are all Democratic publicists. Democrats are newsworthy. Democrats are exciting. Democrats have babies. That's somehow huge.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, if I say Grandma Hillary or whatever, then it's going to be I'm attacking women, and how dare I say that? But if the leftists on the network say, you know, Grandma Hillary or whatever, then it's a great positive thing. So that double standard will enter into the whole war on women. I mean, there was going to be a double standard anyway. You know, if you said anything about Hillary, it was going to be you're against women, just like if you said anything about Obama, you're anti-black. Now they got a whole nother realm to work with here as well. Let's move on. A piece that you wrote at Newsbusters the other day, and we played this yesterday. I actually did a Give Me Five segment on it. Great column about how Ronan Farrow on MSNBC, in a real disgusting display, tried to shift the blame away from radical Islam as the influence on the brothers who perpetrated the Boston bombing and put it towards MMA, mixed martial arts. Let's take a look at one of those videos.
And we're going to close this hour with a look at the people behind this tragedy, the Tsarnaev brothers. Dzhokhar, as we've discussed, remains in confinement in federal prison. He has no contact with other prisoners and little contact with the outside world. Questions remain about his older brother, Tamerlan, and his motivations for the bombing. Before he died, Tamerlan paid a visit to their native Dagestan. Tamerlan, like many young men there in Dagestan, studied mixed martial arts. It's a robust martial arts culture there, and that's part of what drew him into the scene there.
and then they go on, they went there and they did the whole story, and as you point out, it just takes away the real motivation that we know existed. And we know that the mother was a radical Islamist. We know that he attended a mosque where there was a radical Islam being preached in Boston and all that. And here he's black. Wait, how does he come up with MMA?
Well, he may be correct that mixed martial arts is a big thing in Dagestan, and that's the way that some people want to make their way out of poverty, etc. But Tamerlan wasn't trying to make his way out of poverty. He was trying to blow some people up. So it's a very mysterious, bizarro piece of video. It's not even NBC News video. This is the weirdest part, is that Pharaoh's show has some sort of an agreement with a website called vocative.com, who makes really terrible TV news segments that he runs on the show. I mean, I hope they're paying him on the side, because it doesn't do MSNBC any favors.
Yeah, and didn't he also travel to Kenya for a segment for his show where he was getting praise for Barack Obama? I mean, he's done some bizarre things on that show, and you know, I don't know that anything has been reflected in the ratings whatsoever. I just wish I knew, you know, other than being Mia Farrow's daughter and maybe Frank Sinatra's son, I don't know. I don't even know where this guy came from.
Well, obviously, again, it's the royalty business. That's what's going on here. The son of Mia Farrow and probably Frank Sinatra from the look of him. He doesn't exactly look like Woody Allen.
No.
But obviously, maybe this kid could be a journalist someday when he grows up. He's not one now. It's an embarrassment that he's on MSNBC every day. And it's really an insult to think of people inside NBC News have worked 20 or 30 years on a beat and would never score a show for an hour every day. This guy sort of flounces in from working for Hillary Clinton at the State Department, and they just give him a show.
Yeah, no.
Because his tweets are amusing. That was apparently what convinced him, was his tweets.
Yeah, it is a sad state of affairs. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't know this, Tim, and maybe you don't know the answer, maybe probably you do, though. Is Chelsea Clinton still an NBC News contributor? Because when NBC did the story on her last night on the nightly news, which was like a 2.5-minute story on her baby, they mentioned that she was, and I thought that was over. I haven't seen her on that network in any way, shape, or form in maybe a year. Right.
I think that she's probably still under contract without exactly being on the air much.
Gotcha.
You know, their defense, I'm sure, is to say, well, we have Jenna Bush on contract too.
Right.
And, you know, the difference between the two women at this point is there is no Bush running for president yet. But I think everyone understands that Hillary's already got the pantsuit, you know, halfway in the ring at this point.
All right. I wish you would have sat up straight at that girls' forum yesterday. She just looked a little slouchy, and I know that's sexist to say it, but sit up straight. Be assertive, Hillary, for crying out loud. Anyway, Tim, great to talk to you. Always great to talk to you. Thank you, and enjoy your Easter, sir.
Thanks.
All right, Tim Graham, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm going to get in all kinds of trouble because, God forbid, you say anything like that about Hillary. You know, if I call her grandma, it's going to be sexist and whatever. But if then the left calls her grandma, it's going to be fun and happy and great. And what could I say? We're coming back. Hey, marijuana, a good thing or a bad thing? Don't go away. Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.